What's up everyone, welcome to the Coke Zero Sugar 400 Top 5 DFS Picks video for Saturday night. Yes, Saturday, not Sunday this weekend, August 27th around 7 p.m. Eastern for our fourth Super Speedway race of the season at Daytona International Speedway for what's probably going to be the most exciting race of the season. This is the playoff cutoff race and it's a super speedway that is not going to mix well. I am fully expecting chaos this weekend. It should be a very exciting race to watch. But as always, I'm your host, Chris Pennell. You can find me on Twitter at ChrisPennell16, and this video is presented by PrizePicks. In today's video, we are going over general track strategy, how to approach the slate from a DFS perspective, and my top 5 favorite plays on the slate. Please keep in mind this video is being recorded pre-practice and qualifying, so some of my thoughts and opinions on these drivers can and probably will end up changing, as place differential is going to be very important to how you build lineups this weekend. But if you want the up-to-date info and analysis, you can find me and Jason on the Live Before Lock show on the Stokastic YouTube channel, breaking down the entire slate and answering any questions you may end up having. Just making sure you're staying up to date on what happens on the track on Friday and Saturday. Very beneficial to you when creating fantasy NASCAR lineups this weekend. And as far as how we should approach this slate from a DFS perspective, super speedway roster construction is always going to be completely different from any other track type, because like I said earlier, these races tend to be a bit chaotic. There's always a ton of cars that crash out, and that's not speculation, it is just going to happen. We typically see nearly 20 cars wreck out each and every single race at Daytona. It's a very chaotic track, and with this being the playoff cutoff race, there's going to be a lot of drivers jockeying to make the playoffs. Now they're going to have to pretty much win and get in, but still, this is going to promote chaotic racing. You have pack racing at a track like Daytona and Talladega, and that's because we run the tapered spacer, which limits the amount of, cars can't really grab huge leads at Daytona. It's always going to be interchanging. We're going to see so many different leaders, so dominator points really aren't going to be anything of importance unless you just nail the main lap leader and they happen to win the race, but they usually have to win the race unless they start near the back of the pack. So place differential is going to be the name of the game this weekend. You could also kind of mix in finishing position. We always tend to see a couple guys that maybe starting inside the top 15 sneak into the optimal, but for the most part, you want a ton of place differential plays. Doesn't really matter who the driver is. It's really all about starting position, because all these cars are basically equal on a track like this. And one of the other reasons where dominator points are not that important is because fast laps are completely random. You cannot project them. They can come from any car throughout the field since we are pack racing, so it's another thing that just kind of limits you towards place differential for the most part. And the reason being, when we see these big wrecks, they tend to start near the front of the pack because those are the guys jockeying for position, and the guys in the back are able to move up spots. So this does make back marker cars more appealing than they normally would. And another important thing when it comes to roster construction at super speedways, do not feel like you have to use all of your salary. I have seen optimal lineups at a track like Daytona leave around $20,000 on the table. Now, it's not a given that it's going to happen, but more than likely we're going to see some money left on the table, because we've seen optimal lineups that have like David Ragan, Corey LaJoie, Cody Ware, all those back markers in an optimal lineup before, assuming there's a ton of wrecks. So if you want to leave $3,000 on the table, $7,000, or if you want to leave $2,000, whatever it may be, it's usually a really good way to go. And I would say the rule of thumb is at Daytona, if you like the way your lineup looks, you're probably doing it wrong. Anyway, getting into the picks, we'll start with number 5, and we have Justin Haley of Colleague Racing, $64 on DraftKings, only $5K over on FanDuel. Excellent play race in Xfinity Series, and that has translated to the Cup Series. Used to be in some pretty junk equipment, got a win unders, but at Daytona was a rain shortened race, so to get a bit lucky there. But he honestly has top 10 upside every single time we are at a super speedway. Looking at his finishes so far this year, it does have a top 10, 7th at Atlanta, and then also 3 top 15s in 4 attempts. And if you're looking at the past 11 races for him at super speedways, no one is averaging more points besides Corey LaJoie than Justin Haley at super speedways at nearly 45 DraftKings points per race, an average finish of 15.2, which is one of the best in the series, and also a consistent top 15 contender. So Justin Haley here at this price point, as long as he qualifies poorly, he is going to be an excellent place differential play this week. And even if he qualifies closer to the front, I still think it's viable for tournaments as well. And moving on to number 4, it's another cheaper driver here, but like I said, salary is not a big deal this weekend. We have Aric Almirola, $6,700 on DraftKings, $6K over on FanDuel, and he has been excellent at the super speedways this year, averaging the 3rd most DraftKings points per race at 46, an average finish of 12th with an average running position inside the top 20. He also has 2 top 10 finishes and 3 top 15s, finishes of 8th, 13th, and 5th earlier in the season before having an issue where he finished 22nd at Atlanta earlier in the season. But if you're looking at the past 16 races at super speedways, he's finished inside the top 20 10 times, in the top 15 9 times, and in the top 10 6 of those times, which is some pretty good numbers for Aric Almirola. He's also been in the most optimal lineups since the past few seasons at super speedways. So at this price point, I think it definitely makes him viable. He's also in the hunt for the playoff spot if he can able to get a win under his belt. Not saying it's the most likely thing, but he definitely does have something to race for this weekend. And then moving on to number 3, we have Erik Jones, $6,900 on DraftKings, $7K over on FanDuel. And if you're talking about drivers that have been good at super speedways this year, he's actually got the 3rd best average running position in the entire field, over 40 DraftKings points per race, an average finish of 13.3. He's got a top 5 finish, he's got a couple top 10s, and he's been consistently inside the top 15 as well. And this is nothing new for Erik Jones. He's always been a very solid plate racer, actually won a race at Daytona back in the day. And he also has some very similar numbers to the driver we just talked about, Aric Almirola, at super speedways the past 16 races, consistently battling for top 10s and top 15s. And like Almirola, he's also competing for a playoff spot as well. And I would be surprised if he could sneak in there to grab the win and shake up the playoff board. And before we get into our next pick, I want to talk about our sponsor, PrizePicks. They offer daily prop-based contests. You can use promo code OSMO for a $100 first match deposit bonus. There's no sharks, optimizers, or mass entries. And 5-player lineups can add up to 10 times your entry fee. Use your knowledge of multiple sports with cross-sport entries. You can download the App Store, on Google Play, or play over on PrizePicks.com. Use our free player prop tools to help you make the best selections. And you can get 1 free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum when you sign up and make a deposit over at PrizePicks, and you'll receive your email within 24 to 48 hours after to redeem your free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum. And moving on to number 2, and like I said, guys, we're kind of keeping it cheap this weekend, so you can pretty much build whatever lineup you want, but it's Bubba Wallace, $7,800 on DraftKings. A lot more expensive over on FanDuel, though. It's sitting at $12,500. I think the pricing on DK is very bad this weekend, so trying to take advantage of that. But Bubba is an excellent plate racer. He's been good at them so far this year, averaging nearly 45 DraftKings points per race. He's been in the top 20 each and every single time, also in the top 15, 3 out of 4 chances. And if you're dating back to the past 16 races for Bubba Wallace at these track types, it's been very good. He's actually one of the best plate racers in the entire series, has 4 top 5s. He's been in the top 20, 12 out of 16 times, which is only behind guys like Ryan Blaney and Chase Elliott, arguably 2 of the best super speed racers in the entire series. So Bubba Wallace here, a guy that also has to compete for a playoff spot to win this race. I'm trying to target some of these guys a little bit more than some of the other drivers that are locked in, because they're not going to be as aggressive at the end. Or, I mean, they potentially could be, but these guys have to get up front and have to win, which could deliver an amazing day for GPP purposes, but it also could carry some risk as well if they happen to be caught up in the wreck, moving their way to the front, or just making some pretty poor choices or aggressive blocks near the end of the race. And finally, my number 1 play for the Coke Zero Sugar 400 at Daytona International Speedway. Gotta go with Ross Chastain here, $10,200 on DraftKings, $12K over on FanDuel, and he has been phenomenal at the plate tracks this season. He did finish 40th at Daytona early in the season where he wrecked out early on, but looking past that, because anybody and everybody has an equal chance of wrecking. He finished 2nd at Atlanta recently, 1st at Talladega, and 2nd at Atlanta again. He has been awesome being able to run up front. He actually has some of the most lap bled points in the entire series, only behind William Byron, Ryan Blaney, and Chase Elliott, which is a really good group to be in. So I'd be very surprised if Ross Chastain isn't going to be aggressive and move his way to the front for this race. I know he doesn't have anything to really race for as far as trying to make the playoffs. He's already locked in, but Ross is a guy that doesn't really care about those things, and he'll probably work his way to the front and be aggressive either way. The problem is his aggressiveness can lead to those 40th place finishes, but it also has the upside of winning the race or finishing in the top 2, which he has done 3 out of 4 races at super speedways this year. And just to recap, at number 5, we have Justin Haley. Number 4, Aric Almirola. Number 3, the other Erik Jones. Number 2, Bubba Wallace. And number 1, Ross Chastain. Mainly targeting drivers here that have to win and get in, or have been excellent super speedways in the past. But that's all I have for you this weekend. If you did enjoy today's free content, the only thing we ask for return is if you can leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and leave a comment down below if you agree or disagree with any of the takes I had throughout today's video. If you just want to tell us your 5 favorite plays on the slate, you're more than welcome to do just that. Also, don't forget to follow us on Saturday for the Live Before Lock show, where we break down the entire slate answer any questions you may end up having. But with that being said, wish you all the best of luck, and I am super excited to watch this race, as it should be awesome from an entertainment standpoint.